What's up, y'all? It's Steve from Path to Summit LLC, a virtual project management firm that provides project staffing, project guidance, and creates PMOs for organizations all over the globe.
Hey y'all, if you watched the previous videos, you've seen us beautify our sheet, but right now it's missing a little bit of functionality. So I'm going to introduce you to a cool formula called index. Let me get back to our sheet. I've already created the column phase. What I'm intending to do here is with each task style of row, I want when I pull it into a report and I'm looking at what tasks are due, I want to know what phase in my project plan is it? Do I have a bunch of tasks in initiation and planning and launch and implementation, blah, 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 blah. You can easily pull this information because we have the information here. But the problem is we need to create a formula to be able to say, hey, if this is a task, I want to return the phase portion of where it's grouped. So I do know how I've structured this is, the top row, the major grouping is your project as a whole. And the next row down, I've organized it as being a phase. So we know that every second level down in the hierarchy is going to be a phase of my project. This is where an index formula would be helpful. We're also going to use an if statement as well. So I want to say, if this row type is a task, an actionable task, please give me what the heck phase it's in. How do we do that? Trusty notepad here. Let's see. We have an if statement. If the row type equals task, we want you to run an index on the ancestors. So what does that mean? It is looking at all the higher level rows in the task name and saying, okay, give me a list. It's giving you a list of these are all of the rows that are hierarchy higher than the task row, this current row. And we're looking at task name row specifically, we're indicating it here. So ancestors of the task name might be overkill. You might be able to just leave it blank because it's the only row that has ancestors in it. So yeah, anyway, and it's your default row. Basically, if we're looking at row 3 here and we're saying, okay, problem and opportunity, what phase is there? It's in initiation. How are we going to pull that? Well, we know it's 2 levels down. So we're going to create an index and it's going to pull in the background, project alpha row 1, initiation next row, and then boom, we're at our current row. So in the background, index has this list, project alpha and initiation. So these two guys are your index. So from here, we're going to say we don't want project alpha to be the return. We know we're in project alpha. We want to know the phase. This 2 here says skip the first level, go to level 2. So it's telling us we know what our ancestors are, and we've got this list, and it could be an even longer list. It could be a group, could be like 5 whatevers. But now I'm able to say skip project alpha, give me that second level, which I know is a phase inside of my project sheet. And if we go back to the if statement, if it's not a task row, so if we return a false, we just want it to be empty, right? This is what we've plugged in to here. I put in a if error. It's a good practice to throw in if you have any sort of formulas and you say if error around that formula, if a formula gets mocked up or somebody puts in the wrong type of data or blah, 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 it'll return whatever you want to put in here, right? So I could say error. Getting back to our main formula, plug that in. It's looking at this saying, yep, it's definitely a task. And then it's going over here and saying, okay, return the second level of my index. And I've actually, with this, it's got an index of 3, project alpha, initiation, and kickoff with stakeholders. But we know we only want to pull this initiation, this phase level. So that's where that 2 comes in. If I put in 3, boom, it's going to pull in kickoff. But we don't want that. And you see the error up here because there's not a 3rd level for this guy. That's a good reason for putting in a if error statement, right? So you know there's something going wrong here. Let's go back and say, so now whenever I create any sort of reporting, I can pull in the task name, start, finish date assigned to, and I can pull in whatever phase it's in. And this could be helpful on any other types of sheet. It doesn't have to be a project sheet. If you're grouping things, say you're ordering materials and under your heavy equipment, you've got a task. You could say, hey, in my heavy equipment grouping, I want this task to have a label heavy equipment automatically when I pull in a row report, which is what we'll get into next. Taking this information that we've created, what good is it until we actually pull it into a report or put it into a dashboard? This is really important. Always start with your foundation, right? So have an idea of where you want to go and start with the bottom level first and create what you need to be able to filter it out as you move it through the reports and into the dashboards in Smartsheet. All right. Watch our next video to figure out how to use this in a friggin' report.
Have questions? Comment below. We actually respond. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our Path to Summit channel for more project management tips, tricks, and software tutorials.